question about origin, but is the fact that he wonders if our species, if we're actually can figure out the questions to ask. In other words, that could be to me, that's knowing what questions to ask is part of getting the answer. So I know, again, like religion may not be the answer in our science, but philosophically they all come from the philosophy, and, we're just putting out a hypothesis, theories, before we get, what we think the truth is. But the truth is subjective to the person, the individual, as to what they want to believe or not. But collectively, there's universal laws that we all seem to agree to, at least in this reality. But also, Tommy, talk about Tom Campbell and the theory of everything is what is origin, and here on the UFO Club, we've only got so much time, but we're still in the first hour. And, folks, we're just trying to come up with all the possible outlying topics you can come up with that will bring us back into ufology of what we're seeing as unidentified and how we're handling it, whether it's the nuts and bolts. And we've got a lot of mutual UFO network people that are friends of ours, and I've been in it in 2008. And I started way back. We had an argument over whether it was going to be different names for the original mutual UFO network in the beginning, and we're working with several people all over the world in MUFON. But the thing is, with us, we're going to try to cover all of it, not just the nuts and bolts or the psychology behind it. So everything. And Tommy's encompassing the, I guess, the largest out there macrocosm, all the way down to the microcosm. That's the CERN, the CSETI, and all that. So thanks, Tommy. I just want to mention about what you said. Scientifically, you said that Moses, and that's going to touch a lot of people because of the Adamic faith, a Christian, Muslim, and Jew. But, all right, so that is part, but it's all philosophy. Back to you, Tommy. I'm going back on mute.
All right. Now, religion and spirituality are very much the same. I know people say, well, religion's programmed dogma. And the people that are spiritual say, well, there's no such thing as laws and God. The difference is the God they believe in. That's basically the only difference. But if you're spiritual, you believe in the universe as your God. So you refocus it on something more abstract, per se, a God being a man, which is not true either. So, but what I wanted to go into, like, okay, in the spiritual world, do people understand what the word means? And I go into I did a lot of lectures on that. People assume spiritual means a certain thing. Now, going into words, which I have a hard time with when I deal with TJ, when we talk about specific words, man created most of the words we use. When the first person comes up with a word, if I came up with Peter Popcorn, that was my wording for something. Now, what has become accepted worldwide? It's a consciousness change to accept words that relate to what some person perceived. When somebody called an orange when it wasn't called a tomato. So when a person creates a word, how does it become a real word? The same as what I'm trying to get back to is the word spiritual. If you pull it up and go over it and over it, pull up God, go over it and over it, you're not going to find anything important about what the word means. So unless you experience it, getting back to why we say experiences is the most important thing in the reality of a person's life. But here's the thing. You're here to learn who and what you are. All right? And the first only important question that has never been answered by society, scientists, religionists, or spiritualists. Who was the first human being? And it wasn't Adam and Eve, which we know was not the ultimate story. But who was and where did it come from? And I can only tell you what I know from direct experience from me. The stories get twisted by man. The oldest stone tablets written by man or alien, I can't prove both of them, but the Sumerian tablets, the Emerald tablets are the oldest stones carving writings on this planet. And what did they say? Zechariah Sitchin turned around and created his whole theory from the Sumerian tablets. Whether they were real or not, it's his interpretation of it. And mankind has accepted that in a large number. But thought the Atlantean, that has not been accepted and twisted into the Sumerian teachings because thought was an alien, or was he God? And they twist it and say, well, he was an alien God, which is separate. They're not the same. For me personally, when you leave your body, which I talk about a lot, is the only thing important that soul needs to learn in this lifetime, not what alien's going to feed us or take away our people, but what we're actually learning in this life. What is and who is the first race? And who was it? When they came here, all right, humans, who was it? Who was the first being human? Now, and I can't say, you have to really analyze this in detail. There's 4 colored races on this planet with different features, different everything, different DNA. No, we all didn't come from the black race, and that's provable. The same as the Hopi race is the one race that has DNA that no other race has. Proven. So that being said, they're a different race. They didn't come from the same mother and father, however you look at it. So then we go back to which came first, the egg or the chicken. And it's all scenario of science, beliefs, and programming and teachings. They can't.
I don't have the same blood group.
What's that?
I don't have the same blood group. I have a different blood group than 95% of the planet.
Oh no, I'm just saying. So they tried to make us wait. They tried to make us believe that we all came from the black race. But go back to you. Go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
No. It's just that was interesting from what you said. That like the Aboriginal race, there's a certain Aboriginal race that doesn't have. They can't identify parts of their DNA, even though was it Cricken, someone who found out who DNA was. So they can't. There's parts of their DNA that are not human. So if they're not human, then they are alien or not of this world. So that's a scientific fact.
Well, to me, we're all aliens. We weren't born here. I don't believe the human race was born on planet Earth. They were brought here. If you studied the Emerald Tablets, if you learn to work within them, there's a special exercise you have to do to learn, go through ascension. I know TJ loves that word. But ascension is something so different than ascending. Everybody dies and ascends to the astral plane unless they get stuck on planet Earth. But ascension means changing from one reality to a different other and learning something within that. And there's only one person that I know through all my past lives who has done that. So, I mean, we can get into those things, which we will, because people want to learn, want to understand who and what they are. But you have to start at the bottom. Why are you here? To help mankind? No, we're not here to help mankind. We want to believe that. We're programmed to believe that. We're here to understand.
A lot of people think we're just stardust. You know, we're helium and hydrogen, and we come from stars. That's the big thing, is we're out there parts. But where did all that come from in the beginning? There's always a before that, I believe. There's always a before that. But it's easier for me to believe as a creationist, having been that I left out of my body and had an after experience. And Tommy, you can talk about that some people have those and can relate to them, and other people can't. So that's okay. It just means we're all have gifts, and we're all unique. But it's very hard to make someone else think that what you are and what happened to you is their truth, because it only happened to you, right? And that's the same thing in ufology. We're finding that more and more people are at least feeling more comfortable to talk about their experiences. And we're breaking them up into abductees, contactees, and experiencers, and there's many more than that, which a lot of people like James Gilliland are bringing out, because so many people can see other dimensions, and so many people can work in the military and know that we had reverse engineering all the way back to Hitler's time and prior to that even, and all the way back to the Enuma Elish and the Bhagavad Gita and all the wars in heaven, and you know, all the religions, all the world religions talk about those from the heavens came. So it goes all the way back, way, way back. I agree with you, Tommy. We may have our biological born here, but I'm a strong believer that our essence and spirit, and regardless of what level you are in your dimensional reality, is that we all come from somewhere else, because I've had children, and I've watched the body come out of my body, and then watched them before they took their first breath, and it was the life of the air and the oxygen and the crying. They say air is life, but it's you have to be there to see it. But of course, a lot of people can't see with their cats or dogs. You know, they come out in a little sack, and you have to break it open if the mommy cat or doggy doesn't. You know, that kind of stuff. But they have to get that air in them to be alive. And I've watched my husband and my daughter die, been there right when they passed, and it's different. It's a different thing when you can breathe or you can't breathe. And right now, my daughter's husband is in the hospital. They basically say he's brain dead, but they're giving him 10 more days before they pull the plug, and that's sad. But they're saying his body's still laying there alive, and they want to keep his body alive. But when you're brain dead, I mean, but think about it, the physical proof is there. But how do we prove he's still in there scientifically? It's a feeling and a knowing, and when you're there and when they pass. And that part that passes, which where I've been out of body, and I know Tommy has, that essence is the origin, and that comes from somewhere else in the universe. So it's really going to be hard, folks, to everybody agree on everything. So universally, if you'd like to tune in and help, it's strictly going to be a conversation weekly. And Tommy and Tina asked me to turn on the chat room, and so we'll start that with the chat room. And I've gone on Facebook and told people that we're on here right now, Tommy and Tina, if they want to call in, okay? They're calling my phone. I can hear them. But y'all got to call the radio show. Okay. All right, folks. Back to you, Tommy and Tina, okay? And I will go mute while these people are contacting me through social media groups. So it's a good conversation we got going on here. Okay?
I'll give it back to you, Tina, but I just want to mention two things. First off, on out-of-body experience, you can't talk about it unless you experience it. You can read 20 books on it, but it doesn't help you understand it. So until you have that experience, is it going to matter? I just had a phone guy, a cable guy come here to fix my cable yesterday, and I ended up getting into a conversation with him for probably about 45 minutes. And he had his religion, his belief, and all those kind of things. But I tried to explain to him about being out of the body, and he never experienced it. So I told him, here's something that people do, and they don't know why, and it starts with children. And go out into a park, put your arms out and spin around in a circle, and you pass out and fall on the ground. Now, rationally think about that. Why would a child want to do something that's going to make them dizzy, nauseous, and fall on the ground? And it takes a little bit of thinking, because most people wouldn't understand the scenario behind it unless you actually do it. So as an adult, go outside, put on a beach or wherever you can. It's everything. I hope everything's on. It sounds pretty dead. Tina, can you hear me? Oh, okay. All right.
I'm listening.
All right. Well, go outside in the middle of a beach or somewhere. Put your arms out and keep spinning around until you get ready to pass out and fall on the ground. Don't stop. Wait till you fall on the ground. But think about it the second you hit the ground. There's a reason why your body's falling down. I mean, science will prove that the mind got twisted, the fluid got here and that and everything. But the body did fall down, but why did the mind want to do it? Children do it for one simple reason. And I used to do it thousands of times, so I know why. The second the body is out of control, soul steps out of the body. It's only for a split second, but that split second you can have an incredible experience, because now you know you're separated from the body. Little children don't understand the scenario behind it. They just know the feeling's good for a short period of time. So getting back to, a person has to experience a death experience to understand what we're talking about. You can't read it, and you can't read it from, if you read 100 people's books about it, you're not going to understand it until you experience it. So that's just something
I agree with that.
So that's something you have to think about. But the other thing that TJ brought up, I wanted to just mention it. I became aware of being out of my body for a long time. And I watch what happens in the astral plane. I watch what happens and beyond that. But when a soul is in a body, it has a body that's going to break down and die. And it knows it's going to have to leave it sooner or later. But as a child, when a child's being born, Soul steps into the body. And science will never be able to